Question: how to design your personal branding output from scratch? One principle and two steps could help you design your personal branding output from scratch. One principle is to grow by growing others. Two steps are to determine the customer portrait and to determine the content of the output. As for the principle, we have a great example: BCG Group, Boston Consulting Group, one of our overseas customers, world-famous company who has been very successful in both corporate branding and personal branding. Their company principle is to grow by growing others. I'm William Jang, international trade consultant. The first step is to determine the customer portrait. After finding a precious and high-value personal positioning, you need to set up a clean customer portrait and clearly describe the customer's needs, age, income, occupation, and characteristics. The more you know your customer, the more you can know their needs, and the earlier it is to recommend product. The second part determines the content of the output. When outputting content, don't be careful, but output content according to your own positioning and the structure of your own knowledge system. Generally speaking, during this 30 consecutive days, we have a very obvious effect. If you have the systematic and logical output content for 100 consecutive days, your fans will form a certain reading habit, and they will continue to track and read this content. Strong customer relationship naturally form. In the past, many self-media people would choose to rub off on hotspots. As long as there were hotspots there, they would release the articles. The method of quickly gaining fans at the time will gradually become obsolete as the customer bonus disappears. Building a personal brand requires a focusing on vertical segment and outputting content around this segment, so that customer stickiness will naturally be very strong. If you are an international trade consultant like me, you need to keep outputting content about international trade, so that customer with such international trade needs will follow you and follow your content. And when customer decide to source from China, you will also be their first choice. Although I'm an international trade consultant, I'm not only up to put the content and knowledge of general knowledge in international trade, but also do a lot of digital marketing sharing. Why? Because I find the problem with serving foreign customers. Most foreign customers have a good understanding of product, but they are not very familiar with how to do a better marketing department, which leads to low profit margin on one hand. On the other hand, it's a pity that they have stagnated some inventory or cured the inventory that cannot be digested and thrown away. So while sharing things like lighting solutions and procurement solution, I dedicate 80% of my spare time to research and practice marketing. In this way, it will not only have a certain positive impact on the customer, but also on myself and my team. Not all content we output is necessarily our own professional content. When outputting personal branding on the mobile internet, fans must feel that they are a living person, a person with emotions in their life, rather than a knowledge machine in the professional area. Therefore, in the process of exporting, we can appropriately export our own way of life and tell our own values. For example, we can tell about where we eat, where we went to play and what inside or books we read during the play. I have a client who is not only a dropshipper but also coach. He does not only write professional copywriters, but also he writes about his insight while traveling in different countries, as well as his life insights and emotional insight. And he also introduced this dropshipper trainee to us, and he became our new customer. Thank you very much for the referral. I'm pretty grateful. To be a personal brand, you must make your own brand warm. Therefore, when outputting content, you can share your fitness insight and encourage your fans to exercise together. There are your lifestyle and the reflection of your outlook on life. Personal branding is not like product branding. Product branding is more like telling the advantage of a product. On the other hand, personal branding is only the output of a system, and on the other hand, it is the output of a personal value. Think about it. Does your customer be more willing to link with a warm and lovely person or communicate with a cool product? When overseas customers are looking for Chinese suppliers, some of them are very sensitive pricing to the product, and the prices are comparable. And I don't particularly agree with this method, because the way this kind of a customer make money is only to earn a meager profit with information gap. This kind of a customer should spend more time building their personal brand or company brand to earn excess value-added profit. When outputting content, you can output professionalism, but at the same time, you should also output lifestyle and values and be a warm person. Think about it again. Does your customer be more willing to link with a warm and lovely person or communicate with a cool product?